Staying in this group, we have South Korea facing off against Bahrain, where South Korea won 3-1.
So many interesting moments from Bahrain that kind of foreshadowed their ability to get a goal against the mighty, mighty South Korea. And I think if you look at the first 20 minutes, you could see that Juan Antonio Pizzi's men through Bahrain actually had a really, really good game plan. Those first 10 minutes, I was actually highly, highly impressed with how Bahrain was approaching the match. Very compact, very defensive, but when they did get the ball, they utilized the class of the players. Something that you already mentioned, Ali Madan, but their central midfielder alongside Moses, his name's Marhoun, showed absolute class, calmness, and composure in the moments that he was able to get on the ball. His ball retention was excellent, and honestly, the South Koreans in those first 20 minutes were having a tough time on figuring out exactly how to attack this Bahraini side. And I was so impressed. Dude, it took South Korea 19 minutes to craft one genuine chance in Bahrain's box. 19 minutes. So those first 20 minutes, I was completely shocked and so impressed by how Bahrain was approaching the game. And if you're just glancing at the match, bro, if you're just glancing at it, you would have think that prime Neymar was on the pitch because Ali Madan was turning Koreans on a dime, bro. On a dime. He alone, with just his handles, drew 2 yellow cards against the South Koreans because they simply were playing him way too tight, and every time he turned him, they fouled him. Low-key, he probably caused like 6 or 7 fouls in the first 40 minutes just by himself. His handles are elite, probably one of the better dribblers in the Middle East. When he's on it, Ali Madan had an excellent game. So Bahrain showed in those first 20 minutes that they actually came here to not mess around and give South Korea a run for their money. But what I really liked about South Korea was their response after the first 20 minutes, because it looked like they got pissed off. Because after that 20-minute mark, South Korea didn't let Bahrain get the ball anymore. They were getting way more aggressive in retrieving the ball, and they were getting way more chances in Bahrain's defensive third. And at that moment, when I saw the game shift, I was like, okay, this is the Korea that I wanted to see. We saw Japan kind of have a slow start. In a similar way, I think Korea definitely had a slow start here because it took till the 25th minute for them to actually start imposing themselves on the Bahraini defense to where Bahrain couldn't do anything anymore. And then finally, in the 40th minute, as you said, Hwang In-bom gets that goal. And then I was like, okay, this is now South Korea. This is that offensive team that we know so well and that we know can go on a deep run in this tournament. So going into halftime, I was like, okay, you know what? Bahrain 1-0 at halftime. I'm happy. They're going to lose this game 2-3-0. I'm cool with this. They gave what they could. So when they got that equalizer, I was like, oh shit, let's go, man. We have a game. Because the same vigor that they showed in the first 10 minutes is exactly what they came out with at the beginning of the second half. Ali Madan tried a crazy bicycle kick attempt. A crazy one, bro. The ball was like 15 feet in the air and he tried to meet it. Oddly enough, it actually ends up turning into a shot on goal. The very next play, Al-Hashash gets that equalizer. It's 1-1. And if I said that there was possibly a Bahraini Neymar on the pitch, the Korean Messi then took over in the second half. Kang-In Lee looked at the scoreboard. He said, 1-1? Nah. Yep. Not on my watch. 3 minutes later, solo goal. One of the craziest curlers at this tournament so far. Bends outside the post, sneaks right inside. 2-1. Bahrain can't even enjoy their equalizer. And then at that point, South Korea completely dominate for the rest of the second half, with Lee Kang-in just being as dynamic as possible, scoring another goal actually, and honestly could have had like 2 more assists if Heung-min Son was just more on it today.
Interesting performance from Lee Kang-in, bro, because seeing what he did to his Bahraini defense, his impact on the pitch, the ideas he had, and the way that he ultimately decided the match made me truly wonder. He's next up for South Korea then.
He's next up.
And not only that, but Heung-min Son is going to hand him the keys to the South Korean team for the next 10 years. Because the fact that Heung-min Son at the end of the day wasn't as impactful, at the end of the day wasn't able to have his goal or even I think get an assist in this match, it was Lee Kang-In who steps up in his place to take over. That's a sign of the depth that South Korea now has, no longer relying solely on Heung-min Son, but it's also a sign of the future. What an exciting player to have in your arsenal now if you're a South Korean fan, because he's the future, bro. Yeah. He's the next thing up for you, balling out at PSG right now, having a really good season with Mallorca back-to-back times. Lee Kang-In is on a crazy trajectory. And for me, this actually stood out as one of the best Lee Kang-In performances I've ever seen, because so many times with Mallorca, he would, have a really good match, but they'd lose the game 3-2. They just were never good enough. Or he goes to PSG and there's just way too much talent to really be able to dissect how impactful Lee Kang-In actually is. But with this South Korean side, the way he took the game into his own hands and the goals and the quality of goals that he scored, so high, so good. One of his best performances and an absolute statement here at the Asian Cup.
I completely agree with your entire take on Lee Kang-In, man. This was the match, against Bahrain, where I said, oh, wow, Lee Kang-In is going to be the next guy for South Korea. Literally your words. I literally said the same exact thing after watching that game, because the way he showed up for South Korea, the way he dictated the entire offense in that second half, and even in parts in the first half, I was like, oh, wow, like, this might be the next best player in Asia if he just continues on this insane trajectory that he's on. But not just that, the influence that he had, getting 2 goals. And then when he receives the ball out on the wing, he can just take anybody on one-on-one. But Lee Kang-In likes to drift inside too. You give him the ball in the pocket, he can turn you. Yep. He can get past you really, really quickly. He can do 1-2 touch combination. And he also is a really good finisher. So Lee Kang-In right now has it all. It's just up to him to continue to improve. And as you said, he'll do it right alongside basically his father figure in Heung-min Son.
Dude, masterclass. Yeah. That's what that was. A masterclass of a performance there. Ultimately, I ended up giving this game a 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 for the fact that Bahrain was able to make it competitive, and then it took a worldie from Lee Kang-In to break the deadlock. 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I gave this one a 7.3.
Okay. 7.3. Okay.